Welcome back to the Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm Ben. This is Brian, and that is Justin. And we watch movies, good and bad, and we
Before
review
we die.
them for the internet. And we hope that you'll watch along and also review the movies for the internet. And this week we watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. And let's just hop in to the review. So Justin, give us your rating.
I actually did not even think of a number until
Brian,
right now.
give us your rating.
I said go live, but I wasn't ready.
Brian,
You're starting to do things like me. You're actually watching the movies on time, but you're waiting on your ratings. That's my move.
okay.
I'm going to give this movie a 9.0.
Wow.
It was a good movie, boys.
Wow. Okay, Justin, you ready now, or you want to?
I'm not gonna break the cycle this time and go higher or lower than just somebody else's score. I'm gonna say 9.0.
Okay.
Okay. Well, here I am on my lonesome, down near the bottom. I got a 7.6, which I thought was a very good score, but I guess not comparatively. So
It's still a decent score. I mean, all in all, this still ranks. This is the number 2 movie that we've watched so far because Ben with a score of 7.6 and 2 9s. The overall score is an 8.5.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll jump in because mine was the lowest score, and I
Tell us why you hate it.
No, it's funny. It's because I thought I was giving it a pretty good score. So here's the thing. I think I watched probably a little bit too much like Dave Portnoy pizza reviews. So anything over like a 7.2 is very good for him. But ultimately, what I had to do for this movie was compare it in the spectrum of movies I've already seen, which I have not done up to this point. I thought this was an excellent movie, but it came down to did I like it more than Phantom Thread, or did I like it more than The Farewell, or so I had to kind of like go and look at my own scores, and I think I gave Phantom Thread like a 7.8, and so I went with 7.6 because I thought this movie was excellent. I would definitely rewatch it. I don't think it was as good as Phantom Thread was for me. I enjoyed Phantom Thread probably more. And my really only gripe with this movie, I think this movie could have been a 10.0 for me, but this movie was a bit too long. It was just a little bit too, but I think the acting was like S tier, A tier. I think the storyline was excellent. The setting was great. The characters were incredible. I would marry the main lady. She was great. But it was just a little too long, and it felt like it dragged a little bit. Kind of when the origin story started. Like I get the whole getting beat up by robbers, but then it dragged a little bit in there. I don't think you needed to build up the fact that nobody liked the guy who was beating people up in the desert and killing people and stuff. It just felt like they built that a little too long. But this was my first ever John Wayne movie. I've never seen a John Wayne movie. So I'm gonna be honest.
On that one.
Like on purpose, or it was just not something
just
that
never,
you
yeah. Not a Western person really. So like that would be the only things I would see him in. So to be honest, I thought John Wayne was the main character for like 80% of the movie, and then I paused it and I'm like, I should probably look up who these actors are. Turns out he wasn't. Or he was, depending on how you watch the movie. But yeah, I thought it was great, and great means a 7.6 for me.
I really enjoyed my time and thoroughly enjoyed it. I have no notes. 7.3.
You know that you've already touched on one of my negatives when you say it was just a bit too long. There are some scenes, like how many times I got to watch him washing dishes and like just kind of like we're still dragging this. Like, hey, let's get to it here, right? I will second though that the acting in this movie, if you think about this being shot in 1962, the fact that they're doing like takes with this many actors in a room, like the voting rooms and stuff, there are multiple times that they have so many people on camera and none of them are breaking. They're all doing a very good job of like staying engaged. The lighting is really good. I mean, remember when we watched a movie last week for like $2,000 that like almost killed you to watch because it was just filmed on somebody's handy cam, and then watching like a really well done movie. I'm not big for Westerns, but I watched this one and I really, really enjoyed it. I saw, if we're getting fully into spoiler territory at this point,
For sure.
I saw one of the endings coming. I didn't so much see the other ending coming. So I thought it was cool how they wove the story together in that you kind of have, how the story is going to end.
Yeah.
That old Pilgrim is going to marry Tom's girl. And you're like, how can this happen? Because there's no way that he's going to steal her away. Like he's kind of a misfit in this town. Like not everybody's really even on his same page. And even though he's doing so much good for them and helping them, that doesn't mean that he's as good as Tom. Right? Like, so what's going to happen here? How's he gonna steal this girl away? And that last twist at the end of the movie, when it all finally comes together, and you're like, I don't know that he did steal Tom's girl, even though they're married. I'm not really sure that she's 100% his. I was like, you know what? The writing of this movie is just pretty all right. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah. It was good. Yeah,
it was a good movie.
I do. Going back to your point, though, This is where it probably lost a little bit of rating for me with the length of it. I had to go back and rewatch the first 10 minutes, like the future part, to remember why they came to the town to begin with. That's how long the movie was for me. And granted, I was probably a bit distracted, but like it's just one of those things that it felt like by the time you got back to the present, I had forgotten why they had even come back to visit the town to begin with necessarily.
Oh yeah.
So but again, it was very impressive as far as like the actual filming of it is. Consider like, and it makes me think like maybe people are overcomplicating movies in today's period. Like, why don't we go back to this style of movie where you can shoot an almost perfect film,
except for Last Chance for Slow Dance.
Yeah, good point.
They could have tried a little harder.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
they were underdoing that one.
If you think about like modern movies, almost everything is CGI, green screen. You bring in 4 actors,
big explosions,
and they can do everything. Whereas this was, I mean, they probably built a set and created a whole film around it. And it's like, I mean, I think modern movies could do with a little bit of something like this. Because it is very captivating and it feels more authentic. Like you couldn't tell me those people weren't real. Like I for all intents and purposes, I would believe you if you told me like, oh, those were real people and they just went and filmed a story. It's like, oh, okay. Obviously it's not the case, but like that does seem like it, the way it was shot.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm done. Justin, thoughts?
For me, I liked everything you guys said about it. The thing that really carried it through for me was the nostalgia. I grew up on westerns and war movies with my dad, so shout out to Pop. Like this, John Wayne movies. They were always on. Like dad was the kind of person who like we would be running around in the house or something. And if he had the remote, it was something Turner Classic Movie, Western, or either that, or he would go into his room and watch the violent war movies or something like that, historical stuff. But yeah, I remember growing up on True Grit and just dozens of John Wayne movies that I feel like John Wayne is one of those actors that's like very much right here, and there's not a lot of range there, but he does that role perfectly, right? The tough guy out in the West or wherever he is, and I don't know, there's just something so aesthetically pleasing about just the whole vibe of him being a homesteader out in the West somewhere and building a house, and there's always way too much alcohol involved, and him shooting a bunch of stuff. The thing that was wild to me was and it was kind of interesting to see because a lot of those old movies have a lot of those flaws, right? And one of those flaws is like, the lighting is probably an issue. Did they shoot this in the daylight, but it's supposed to be nighttime? Did they just put a lens over the cap to make it like sunglass, just to make it look a little bit darker? And things like that are like imperfections that are just really endearing, I guess, to me. of movies from that era, I guess. But yeah, little things like that. It being like full daylight outside, you can tell it's full daylight outside, and they're supposed to be shooting like a night scene, or the fact of big spoiler towards the end of the movie when when the thing happens, and John Wayne and Pompey are in the alleyway doing the thing.
Sounds so
At
questionable
that
when you
big
just.
well,
It's okay.
yeah,
Just,
actually,
yeah.
I didn't really set that up very well, did I?
No.
Anyway, well, they're in the alley, and what's his name? Liberty Valance, the guy whose name is on the movie title, but that shootout is happening, and the whole time, it's like the stage whispers. He's not like, "Hey, give me the rifle." He's like, "Pompey, give me the rifle." Boom, and just throws it back to the guy and walks off
It's
or whatever.
so
And
nobody in the street would notice such a thing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
nobody can see you standing in the middle of that street, or nobody
Yeah.
can, nobody. Yeah, it's just.
But the care with which the movie was shot really stood out to me too, because like that scene of them in the alley, that's like a later reveal, right? Because
right.
that's supposed to be. I mean, in 1962, that might have been one of the biggest twist endings. Like
Oh,
they didn't
for
have
sure.
the M. Night Shyamalans of the day, like where you're just waiting, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
But they filmed that scene at the same time, and you can tell because of the way that Liberty Valance falls and crumples over. Like you wouldn't almost be able to recreate that even if you tried. And so the fact
I
that
was
you
actually
can see,
wondering about that.
you can see them. They took the care to do that. And then there are other things like the first time you see Tom Donovan's house out in the country, he's building an addition onto his house for when he gets engaged. But you've actually already seen it where the addition was never finished, and there's flowers and cactuses growing there. And there's just so many things. It's like this director cared so much about like tying a neat bow on everything. Like it was so good. And then if you want to talk about good acting, they had me in the first 15 minutes when they cut to Pompey. I don't even know who this dude is. And they cut to him with tears in his eyes. And I couldn't tell because I hadn't seen him young yet. I couldn't tell that he had been made up to be old. And I was like, this dude looks so broken and sad. I need to know who has died. Who is your friend?
What has occurred?
And I don't know. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm not a Western watcher, and I do not care for many black and white movies. I think the last black and white movie I watched was Psycho, I think, and I really like that movie too. But like, I just don't go out of my way to like find black and white movie. This one, it knocked my socks off. It was super good. Like 9 is an excellent rating for me.
It does make me want to watch other John Wayne films, which hopefully there's more on this list at some point we'll get to. But it does make me go like, maybe I'll enjoy John Wayne films, because if they're if they're similarly shot or similarly scripted, then I'd probably enjoy them.
Yeah,
which is something I probably would have never said because it's not something I watch. I don't particularly go for westerns, with the exception of like I think I've seen like one western. It was more like modern. I don't know. It's been a long time ago since I saw it, and I'm not talking about
probably like the new 3:10 to Yuma.
Well, I was going to say it's not Cowboys versus Aliens, in case you were wondering. Which I did see that film, but I don't think that counts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I just.
You mentioned 3:10 to Yuma. I remember when I was in college, we bought that for like a $2 bill out of a bucket, and it came with a free T-shirt. It was a double extra large T-shirt this big that said, "I'm gonna burn this place to the ground," like in black and white. And I hadn't watched the movie yet, and I was like, "All right, W, free shirt."
Yep.
Like, let's go.
Did you save that? Because I'd love to wear it.
I think I gave it away, or probably threw it in the lake or something. Yeah. But yeah, who knows?
All right. Well, speaking of potential movies to watch, let's roll for our next.
Roll it.
All right. So we've proven that we can strike gold every once in a while from this.
That's true.
I'm not betting high on this one, but we have 1,237 movies remaining. We have done 9.
Ooh.
So this is going to be lucky number 10. 1,168.
It's a new movie.
That's a new movie. Any guesses on year before I say?
2006.
Nope. Newer.
2015.
Close. 14. 2014. It's called Citizen 4. All one word. Citizen 4.
Okay, let me get the
One word.
Oh,
One word.
Okay. Citizen 4 is I was more excited until I clicked on it, and then I was like, well, okay. Citizen
right.
4, it says we can watch now for free on YouTube, Tubi, and Amazon Prime. Citizen 4 is a 2014 documentary film directed by Laura Poitras concerning Edward Snowden.
Oh, okay. Another documentary.
Yep. And I'm
Interesting.
pretty sure I've seen this just to go on the record ahead of times. So I'm pretty sure I watched this, but I can't be sure without clicking
You are
on it.
the resident documentary watcher.
I am. Yeah, I am. Let me click on Amazon just to verify it's true. Yes, you can watch it on Amazon Prime with, it says watch now free with ads, but I mean, last time we said this, there were no ads when we watched it. So
True.
hopefully we'll get lucky again. So it is rated R, by the way. So, and if you don't know much about the Edward Snowden story, there's a reason it's rated R. So just watch with a grain of salt, and do your own review. It might not be for you, but yeah, it is rated R. It's about espionage, and it's about when the government watches us. So you can imagine how that would lend to interesting things. I shall leave it at that.
Alrighty.
All right, well, we will see you next time, and let us know in the comments, if you've made it this far, let us know in the comments what is the best Western film you've ever seen or ever created, that was ever created. So let us know.